Hello, I'm host Eric, host talking with famous people, and I'd like to call Megabro my Megabro because this comment he put has got my mind spinning all sorts of different directions. It's been a while since I've read something quite so interesting, and I want to talk about it. What's interesting is, prior to receiving this comment this evening and looking at it, I made a video today on my way to work in which I talk about my own thoughts about where I might use NI on a regular basis, actually, but in a very specific context only, which is when I'm making freestyle music. And I can tell you this, that it's a very different mental space than any other mental space I ever get into. Well, it's kind of like spitting a debate speech a little bit. When it really locks in and it just all spills out of you. When you really nail a good debate speech, you're not thinking at all. That's the thing about it, right? You're just out it comes. Every word perfect. Freestyle is the same way. When you are doing it right, you're in some kind of a trance. When I watch myself on video doing my freestyle, my eyes are rolled back in my head. Right? I am not driving that bus. For sure, I'm not. When I'm doing that process, I'm doing the words. Whatever conscious driving is in charge is aware of what the words are doing. Only. That's all I have room for. So, I won't think this explicitly in this many words, but these thoughts will cross my mind, or this instinct will drive my decision making while I'm doing the words. To comment or something. Like, for example, a song I have up, which I'll link to on this, actually called Enneagram Type 7 theme song or something like that. And it's freestyle where, it's a great freestyle. I think I'd say it's fair to say, I just killed it. I nailed it, right? But the lyrics in there at the beginning, it says every night, and then I of course want to avoid and every day, so I changed it to, and so I sang and even on Sunday. And that's an example of NE in full effect. That's an example of real-time NE, which can be very impressive. It's not magic like NI is. That's the thing. NI is not as impressive, but it's way more mysterious, and in that regard, it's way more impressive. But because you can't really understand it. But Megabro's given me some insight into this. So Megabro has a visualization approach that he recommends for any user to experience what NI is like, and I will describe it. I'll read from this comment in a little bit to describe his methodology. Well, let me just say, when I read this, I was struck by, number one, I am a terrible visualizer and have always been. What you described there of visualizing two memories from the day side by side, I don't know if I can do that. I don't think I can visualize what it would look like if I could visualize two things side by side, which is not the same thing as actually visualizing them. Whenever I visualize anything, I don't see the thing. I see this sort of like faint icon of it that represents the words that I have for it. I've never been able to visualize anything. I have terrible spatial intelligence. I can't figure out how to turn furniture to fit through a doorway. I've had this experience before where I was standing at the door and I tried to turn it and fit it like 10 minutes straight, finally, go back to the kitchen. Candace, back when I was married. Candace, listen, you have to take it back to the store. It doesn't fit through our door, or we have to take the door off. I guess we could take the door off. But I have to return it, get a smaller one because it doesn't fit through here. You say, well, why did you turn it like this? I tried turning it every single way, Candace. It doesn't fit through there. Well, like this though. Did you try this? Yeah, I tried that. I think. Wait, did I? I think I tried all the different ways. We'll try it. Oh, it does fit. That's the story of my fucking life. Visualization is terrible. This guy is describing a very visual process. Megabro is when he's talking about how to exercise an I if you are naturally in any. Let me read you what he says. The number of ideas here I like a lot. I'm going to mention this one right since it's right here. The problem is that with an NI-NE axis, if you try to have one, NI then has to reorganize the whole abstract model of reality to accommodate this new stored idea instead of storing the one idea in one chunk of memory and leaving it there. So SI can store ideas as they come much faster. However, new ideas keep coming from NI so fast, faster than NI can process them into a single coherent mental model again. And certainly faster than, or in more quantity than SI can handle. SI can't keep track of any of those things. I forget my good ideas for days, and then it'll reoccur to me. And if I don't write it down, I'll forget it, and maybe it's gone forever. And it reoccurs to me because I stumble upon the same associative landscape and recognize my footprints and walk back to it. That's how I remember things a lot of times. When I remember things, I remember the general associative ground first. Oh yeah, that thing I'm trying to think of is over in that general associative area. I was thinking about something else like that. And then I find one footprint, and then, but obviously the next logical step is this, then this, this. Because my intuition suggests the same steps once positioned in the same spot. So I can walk back like that. And that's how I remember things a lot of times. I don't really have much of a memory that's accessible in the ways that other people's memories are. My memory produces what I need to know when I need to know it, but it's not there for me to access on demand at all. It just seems that when the moment calls for me to remember something that I have no idea I even knew, it just pops into my head. I don't know what to say about that. Sometimes it's just like that. Sometimes I can remember some hint of the associative chain that got me there originally. It's just how far back in time it was, Regardless. So let me read from this. It's dangerous to create an NI-NE axis. It could cause you to go insane if it got stuck that way. Like insane creative types? Well, I like I said, I only believe I experienced NI in one context only. So I don't want to get stuck that way. I like NE. NE's fun. Here's what he suggests you do. Find two memories from today. Zoom out so you can see both memories side by side. Okay, I could sort of do it. Sort of. At first I had trouble finding two concrete, distinct memories that I thought were distinct. I picked a moment when I was in the car in Rosemead. I remembered being annoyed with this person in front of me. And another moment in the car, and I sort of flitted between trying to pull this maneuver to get into the line to go on 60, and saying fuck that because 60 looks like it's jam-packed. and going past 60 and then turning around and then go back on the 60 anyway because there's nowhere to go at that point. Anyway, so it's like when I started trying to pin down the memory, I start walking through the associative chains that I went through then, right? Like the same, well, the same, in that case, not associative, but the same logical steps, right? So it's hard for me to pin down a memory at all, let alone visualize it. What visual representation is there of such a memory? I don't know. I mean, the visual representation I chose was first of me sitting inside the car on Rosemead, and I do have a vision of the spot, the Jack in the Box over there, and the 7-Eleven, and my car where it would be on Rosemead. And I have a vision of the quality of the light this morning when I was there, which was fairly bright. It was, late morning light. And then the afternoon one, I can picture on the 60. Lining up side by side is hard, but I can sort of do it. I've never even attempted something like that before. Lining up two images side by side would never even occurred to me that you would try to do that. Even though, of course, I do it on the computer all the time. But I am so unaccustomed to using visualization in my thinking at all that I would never go there. I'm just terrible at it. Why would I? Why I have so many other approaches to thinking about things. But I can audiolize quite well. And in fact, sometimes when I'm about to fall asleep, I will hear as though it were just playing on its own in my head a complete song, and that's the only context in which I can hear and isolate, both hear all the parts concurrently and isolate and focus on the parts entirely in my head, and individual parts successively all in my head. It's the only time I can do that is when I'm falling asleep. I'm half asleep, I can do that. It's happened a few times. I'll hear this full song in my head. It's not a song that exists. It lives in my head. And I'm listening to it. It's got multiple parts to it, and they're useless. It's useless. I get up and it's gone. I can't keep it as soon as my consciousness is raised up a little bit. I can't keep that ability for some reason. I can hear songs in my head just fine. Like, I can sing songs in my head just fine. And the pitch is good and everything like that. I remember one time I was driving in the car and I had, at the time, a mixtape. This is back in the days of cassettes. And I listened to it all the time. And after one of the songs on the mixtape, there were a couple Beatles songs back to back. One of them was Piggies. The second one was Piggies. And the first one was, I don't remember. Anyway, it turned out the tape I was listening to was not the normal mixtape, it was a different mixtape which also had the first song on it, but didn't have Piggies on it, right? And the first song was at the end of the first side of the tape. And I was driving, and the song before Piggies ended, and then Piggies came on, and I was singing along with it, and listening to it on the radio. Coming out of the speakers, clear as day, and not thinking about it at all, right? Thinking about something else. And then it went click, and the tape deck on the car flipped the tape over. And I realized, wait, what happened to Piggies? And I sort of pieced it together, and I went back and forth. Well, where the fuck was it? It's not even here at all. What happened there? What was happening? I was in the middle of hearing the song, it switched sides, and then the song's not even there. I realized it was all in my fucking head. So I can't visualize, but I can audiolize. And so I can't do your thing at all. I have no interest in even trying it. It sounds so fucking impossible. I don't like things that are hard. I like things that are challenging. That sounds hard. But incredibly fascinating, dude. Thank you for this incredibly fascinating comment. And, I mean, I don't think you quite feel how bad my SI is. All these things like, well, you use your SI to do, or yeah, use my SI to what? You know, run into a brick wall face first? That's about all I can use my SI for. Anyway, I have so much more to say about this stuff, but I'm going to stop this video right now. And I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. This is exciting to read about and exciting to talk about. I feel like it's interesting new ground that I hadn't encountered before.